Today we're going to be doing the order of operations. So look at the title. Order means the way in which you do it. Operations is the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So I prepared this file and I just noticed there was a typo. There should actually be 4 steps, so we're going to add that 4th step real quick. Okay, so here's the 4th one. Pause it and add it to yours and then we'll go over them. So it's right there. So what happened is the text box just cut it off. So when we do the order, the first thing we need to do is simplify the expressions inside the group and symbols such as parentheses. It's not always going to be parentheses once you get up into higher math. This year, you'll just be parentheses. But some groups say pemdas for brackets or gimdos for grouping symbols, but parentheses is what we're going to be using. So then we need to find the value of all exponents powers, that's the E, multiply and divide in order. So whichever one of these comes first from left to right, and then add, subtract in order from left to right. So these two, they could say pemdas. They just put multiplication before division and addition before subtraction. And it's just the way they put it. So it's left to right. Whichever one is first, division can come before multiplication. All right. So directions that we're used to seeing are generate, write, an equivalent expression, an equal expression using the order of operations. So we have these problems. So when we do the PEMDAS, what we need to do is we need to look at what's going on in here. So the first thing we look for is parentheses, and there's my set of parentheses. So your favorite tool will be your highlighter. I like to highlight, there we go, that's a much better color, what steps I'm going to do. I'm going to bring everything down. You do not want to do more than one thing in a row. So then I'm going to write it down. What's 3 plus 3? 6 minus 2 to the second power. So I've taken care of my parentheses. I evaluate my form. There's nothing left. So I can move on to my exponents. Does this problem have exponents? Yes, it has one right there. I don't know why I keep forgetting to go to yellow. It has one right there. So that is the only thing I'm going to do. What this is going to be is 2 to the second power, which means 2 multiplied by itself, which would equal 4. So with exponents, I usually do a small problem, and then I replace that yellow with my new answer. So I have 48 divided by 6 minus 4. So now I have no more parentheses, I have no more exponents, I go to multiplication division. Well, here's the first sign I get to. It is a division sign. So I'm going to use my highlighter, and I do those two. That is all I'm solving. 48 divided by 6 is 8, and then I bring down the rest, minus 4. So now we have no multiplication, we have no addition. What we have is subtraction. So I can solve this one out. This is, dang it, this is what I'm doing. So 8 minus 4 is equal to 4, and there I have my answer. So just like I was saying with when we're doing exponents, you can get negatives into this, and you might run across that, and you need to look up your rules for your negatives from the beginning of the year. So let's look at this next one. We have 11 times 9, 11 times, and in parentheses 9 minus 2 to the second power. Well, in this case, even though this is an exponent, I need to do that one first because my rule with parentheses is I have to solve the expression inside. I cannot solve this until I deal with this one. Once I solve this one, then I'll be able to solve the parentheses. So this one is a little bit confusing. So I have 11 times 9 minus 4. We just did 2 to the second power in the previous problem, so I used what I've already done. Now I still have parentheses here. So now I'm at a point where I can solve that one. So I now have 11 times, and 9 minus 4 is 5. So now I have this guy, and 11 times 5 is equal to 55. So to evaluate that expression, 11 times 9 minus 2 to the second power would give me a product of 55. So here we have a little bit longer one. When I do this, I'm going to look for parentheses first, and here I have parentheses. So I have to solve that piece first. 12 minus 4 is 8. Now everything else comes down, and sometimes I find it is easier to kind of write it this way, backwards if you may. And then I look, do I have any exponents in this one? The answer to that is no. So now I go, do I have any multiplication or division? Well, I have division and multiplication. Which one comes first? The division. So that is the problem I'm going to look at right now. I'm going to look at 25 divided by 5, which would be 5. Everything else comes down. Now, a real common error would be to add 5 plus 6, and you would get 11, and then times 8, and you would get 88. But if you notice, you're doing addition before multiplication. So the correct process would be to do the multiplication, which is 6 times 8. 6 times 8 would give me the product of 48, and to that I need to add 5. If I do that, I get the sum total of 53. So obviously it's a little bit different than 88. So if you do something out of order, you're going to get a wrong answer. I've always said my regulars were much better at this than my pre-AP students were, because y'all tend to be a little bit more patient and you use things like graphic organizers or highlighters to help you, and so that makes you a little bit more successful with this. You're not rushing ahead. If you practice your steps, you will get it correct. So let's go to this one. We have 100 divided by 5 squared times 4 to the third power. So the first thing I'm going to ask myself is there any parentheses in this one? And the answer to that is no. But I do have an exponent. I have another one too, but I'm going to deal with the first one first. So I have 100 divided by, this would be 5 times 5, which is equal to 25, times 4 to the third power. And again, I really only want to do one step, bring it down, evaluate, do my next step, bring it down. It will make your life so much easier. I still have another exponent, so I'm going to handle that one. That is 4 times 4 times 4, which that would be 16 times 4, and then this would be 64. So now I have 100 divided by 25 times 64. So now I'm going to go left to right. I have a division and multiplication. If I'm reading left to right, I come to the division first. So the first thing I'm going to do is highlight this one. 100 divided by 25 would give me 4, and then I bring down that last part times 64. So when I do that and solve that out, I get a product that is 256. Our last practice problem, again, I'm thinking PEMDAS. Do I have any parentheses? And right here I do. So my method is to highlight it. You may circle it. Just somehow note that that is the part you're dealing with. 12 minus 7 would give me 5. So then I bring everything else down exactly the way it is, and now I go back and evaluate it. I have an addition and a multiplication here. My PEMDAS rules tell me that since I have no exponents, no more parentheses, I need to do multiplication or division. So what I'm going to do is this part first. 4 times 5 is 20. I'm going to add 11 to it, and I'm going to get 31. If you added these two together, you would have 15, and then you would have to multiply it by 5. That's not going to give you 31. So you have to make sure you're doing the correct order. My suggestion is use a highlighter to highlight it and bring it down. If you notice, it kind of makes an upside down triangle. Or really, it's not upside down triangle, but with a point at the bottom, like kind of like an ice cream cone. As you're working your way down, you should be narrowing what you do. All right, you do have guided practice to do. Please make sure you tape this page into your interactive notebook and continue on.